At 19, Aisha learned the true weight of silence the day her father placed his trembling thumbprint on a paper he could not read. The village elders called it a marriage agreement, but everyone knew the truth. Debt had finally won. Her mother cried quietly in the corner, not daring to argue, while Aisha stood still, her hands cold, her future shrinking into a single name she barely knew: Rashid, the silent, poor farmer at the edge of the village. People whispered that he barely spoke, that his land was dry, that marrying him was no different from disappearing. Aisha had dreams once of education, of color, of a life louder than the creaking of wooden doors. But dreams meant nothing when hunger sat at the table. When she was told she would be married in 3 days, she didn't scream. She didn't beg. Something inside her simply closed its eyes. On the wedding day, she was dressed like a celebration she did not feel. Gold borrowed from neighbors, henna painted by hands that pitied her. Rashid arrived alone, wearing plain clothes, his eyes lowered, his face unreadable. He did not smile, did not boast, did not bargain. He simply nodded as if accepting a fate already familiar. During the ceremony, Aisha noticed his hands, rough, scarred, honest hands, hands that had worked the soil more than they had ever held another human being. The villagers watched closely, expecting awkwardness, maybe cruelty, maybe indifference. But Rashid said nothing. When the vows were done, he quietly removed the small bundle of money from his pocket and handed it to her father, then turned away without looking back. That moment hurt more than anything else. It made her feel like a transaction already completed. As dusk fell, Aisha was taken to Rashid's small mud house, far from the noise of the village. The house was clean but bare, with a single oil lamp flickering against the walls. Rashid gestured for her to sit, then stepped outside without a word. Minutes passed, then more. Fear crept in, fear of what was expected of her, fear of what the night might demand. She had heard stories, cruel ones, whispered by women who thought suffering was tradition. Her heart pounded as the door finally opened. Rashid returned, carrying a simple tray of food. He placed it in front of her, then sat on the floor at a distance, eyes lowered. He pushed the tray slightly toward her, and for the first time, spoke. His voice was soft, unsure, but steady. He told her she must be hungry. He told her she was safe. He told her she owed him nothing. Aisha stared at him confused. Her breath caught somewhere between disbelief and shock. This was not the man the village had described. This was not the night she had feared. Rashid stood up, pointed gently toward the inner room, and told her she should rest. He would sleep outside. When she asked why, her voice barely audible, he simply said that a marriage forced by hunger was not a marriage, yet it was a responsibility. As he turned away, something inside Aisha shifted, fragile but real. That night, lying awake under a thin blanket, she realized that sometimes silence was not emptiness. Sometimes it was restraint. Sometimes it was kindness waiting to be understood. Morning arrived quietly, carried by the sound of birds and the smell of fresh tea. Aisha woke unsure of where she was, then remembered everything at once. The fear she had gone to sleep with felt different now, less sharp, more cautious. When she stepped outside, she found Rashid already awake, sweeping the small yard. He paused when he saw her, nodded respectfully, and returned to his work. Over the next few days, a strange rhythm formed between them. Rashid spoke little, but his actions spoke loudly. He made sure she ate first, that she rested, that she felt no pressure to become anything other than herself. Slowly, Aisha began to notice the details others had ignored. The way Rashid woke before dawn to tend land, everyone said was hopeless. The way he fixed broken tools instead of complaining. The way villagers mocked him while still relying on his help. One evening, as they shared tea, Aisha finally asked the question that had burned inside her since the wedding night. Why had he agreed to marry her if he knew she was being sold by circumstance? Rashid looked at the ground for a long moment, then told her his story. He had been poor all his life, invisible and underestimated. When the proposal came, he saw a chance not to own someone, but to protect someone, because he knew what it meant to have no choice. He said he would never touch her heart or her body unless she chose him freely. The words shook Aisha more than any cruelty could have. No one had ever spoken to her about choice before. Weeks passed and trust grew in small, careful steps. Aisha began helping in the fields, learning the land, discovering that Rashid's soil wasn't barren. It had simply been neglected, much like him. Together they worked, talked, laughed quietly. One night, months later, Aisha realized she no longer counted days as survival. She was living. She approached Rashid herself, sat beside him, and thanked him, not for saving her, but for respecting her. Tears filled his eyes, the first she had seen. That night truly changed everything, not through force or expectation, but through mutual understanding. Their marriage, once a symbol of desperation, became a partnership built on dignity. The village noticed the change, the land slowly turning green, Rashid standing taller, Aisha smiling without fear. The same people who had pitied her now wondered how a silent poor farmer had become a man of quiet strength. But the truth was simple. He had always been that man. He just needed someone to see him. And Aisha, once sold by fate, discovered that sometimes the greatest freedom begins where the world expects you to lose everything.